prison. Everyone's got something on their mind. They're always spying on people from their windows, like this fat lady, pretending to work hard just to steal a few apples. A solemn priest in black. He walks calmly into the church with everyone watching, and then he hides in the corner and drinks. After he came out from the corner, he wanted to show others that he was righteous and charitable. He pretends to be a good Samaritan and visits the prisoners. Then he spat on the prisoner. He spat on the prisoner. The prisoner lost his freedom, can only endure the humiliation of digging holes to escape. The miser upstairs tries to find gold under his bed every day. The fierce thugs across the street secretly coveted the old man's money. Looking at the yellow gold, he gave a sinister look. Then he turned to his wife and asked her to serve him. Ellie was like a slave. Like a slave, she tried to fulfill her husband's demands, but he was never satisfied. He kept pushing her to go out and work. The lonely old woman in her green dress and observes the lives of others. If she could find out the secrets of others, it would give her great pleasure. Ellie collected firewood as she always did. Mr. Jack the Glasses was the only one who lived outside the village. He planted fruit trees. When he saw Ellie, he greeted her warmly. Ellie felt very moved for a moment. She ran home shyly. The old lady watching from upstairs was delighted. When she saw Jack's mockery, she threw a bucket of garbage straight downstairs. Everyone in the village had a little secret they didn't know, but they walk into church with their sins and sing about justice. But in reality, they're doing what priests do when they pick up a bottle of wine. Everyone's in deep shit, and yet they can't stop snooping and speculating. One day, the miser had a fight with the old lady next door, and he's having fun with the gold under his bed. The thug man in white watched as his wife went out to collect firewood again. He looked around and thought of stealing it. At that moment, the old lady in green was watching Ellie. Ally, in order not to be discovered, she deliberately turned back. When the old woman stopped watching, Ally ran to the village to find Jack. They hadn't seen each other for a long time. They were eager to start kissing, but in order not to be discovered by the village, they finally chose to flee into the woods. After making sure his wife was gone, the thugs lowered a ladder through the back window. He slipped into the miser's house. He looked at the miser, who was still peeping, and dumped the gold from the treasure chest on the floor, and dragged the miser and threw him out the back window. Jack and Ellie, who were in the woods, heard the noise and ran out. Jack looked at the lifeless miser on the ground, and the thug grinning through the window. He wanted to climb up and find out what was going on. The old lady in green saw him. She shouted at the top of her lungs that the rest of the villagers who were still stealing and drinking should come and watch, and said Jack had killed the miser. The old lady in green had wanted to make him pay for his last taunt, and now she had her chance, and she let the real thug get away. Jack was hunted by the ignorant villagers. The normally selfish people immediately became united in the face of a common enemy. Eventually, Jack was imprisoned in the village jail. People threw apples at him and pouring cold water on him. Prisoners implicated in the crime threw cans at him. Before long, the village carried the miser's body to the back of the church. Then the mob buried him with their own hands. When they were gone, he smiled and said, "Rest in peace, old boy." Next, they cut down Jack's trees outside the village. Then they sawed them down to make a swing. Not one of them had any pity or doubt that Jack was the real murderer. For the hard-working women would eat his apples, and the priests would raise their glasses in honor of Jack's elimination. Only Ellie, who really loved her, threw a shovel into the jailhouse. Jack started digging and digging. Soon he reached the outskirts of the village, and the prisoner could have escaped. But out of jealousy, he chose to expose Jack. When the villagers found out, they grabbed their hoes and went looking for him. At the critical moment, Jack climbed the fence and escaped. No one found any trace of him until nightfall, so they decided to go home. But the old lady in green was the only one who stayed put. The mob was counting the miser's gold. When he heard footsteps on the roof, he climbed up. Fearing for Jack's safety, Ellie followed him. The thugs soon found Jack and took off his glasses. Ellie tried to stop her husband from letting him go. She was almost pushed off the roof. When Jack found out that he was the one who killed the miser, he punched him in the face. The thugs didn't realize how strong the cultured man was. He accidentally fell to his death over the fence. Ellie looked at Jack, who was about to go under the roof. She quickly pulled him back and let him through her window. Ellie saw that no one was around. She took Jack's hand and ran out of the house. At that moment, the old lady in green, who was still at the entrance of the village, was sleeping. This horrible village. The collective unconscious is like a man-eating ant. They devour people's bodies, killing people in the blink of an eye. The next day, the people in the village saw the bones of the thug and the glasses next to him. They thought it was Jack's body. The old lady in green kicked him in anger. The others went back to the village to dismantle the rack. The old lady in green continued to watch. The hypocritical priest continued to drink. The lazy woman continued to steal the fruit. This is a prison. Each of them represents one of the 7 deadly sins.